Welcome to our latest Wandering Walks of Wonder History walking tour. Today we're headed to Hiawatha, Kansas. Hiawatha's history begins with the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, which opened the area to settlers. Previously home to Native American tribes, early travel routes connected military forts. The first white settlers arrived in 1854, and by 1855, Brown County was established and attached to Donovan County for governance. The town of Hiawatha was officially laid out in 1857. Oregon Street, that we're walking along through here now, is named after the Oregon Trail. It served as the main east-west thoroughfare. Streets were named after regional Native American tribes, and the public square was reserved for a courthouse. The first building, a frame house, served briefly as a hotel and courthouse. A general store followed. Named by B.L. Ryder after Longfellow's Song of Hiawatha, the town gained prominence. Much of the land came from Iowa and Kickapoo trust lands, later sold to settlers and speculators. In 1858, Hiawatha was voted as the permanent county seat, and the first courthouse was commissioned. Speaking of courthouses, the first building that we see here is the Brown County Courthouse. This is actually the third county courthouse. The first was constructed in 1858, shortly after Hiawatha was named the Brown County seat. Another building was constructed in 1879, but a larger building was needed, so the current building that we see today was constructed in 1925. Our tour of the downtown area includes the Hiawatha Courthouse Square Historic District. This district is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It includes about 61 buildings that we see as we walk around the courthouse square. Many of these buildings are late Victorian, meaning late 19th or 20th century buildings. Of these 61 buildings in this area, 35 were constructed before 1900, and another 22 were added between 1901 and 1950. Also, we'll see as we walk along circa 1911 brick streets as well as 1904 streetlights. This building that we see in front of us was built by Charles Lawrence in 1896. It replaced a frame building built by the Lawrence Beer and Baker store 15 years earlier. Baker retired in 1884, and the store became the Beyer Lawrence Company. A grocery store was located in the basement of the store until the early 1900s. The store became the Chattel and Company building in the early 1900s and operated until around 1931. Located on the southwest corner here of 7th and Oregon Streets is the First National Bank building. It was constructed in 1881 and has become one of Hiawatha's most prominent commercial landmarks. It was built at a cost of about $17,000, and the three-story brick structure was made from St. Louis brick and reflected the city's growing prosperity in the late 19th century. The building originally housed the First National Bank of Hiawatha, which was chartered in 1881. The upper floors were home to two local chapters of the Independent Order of Oddfellows, or IOOF. In 1890, the building was destroyed by a major fire, and it was rebuilt, including the distinctive look we see today with its clock tower. By about 1870, Hiawatha was incorporated and saw rapid development. The town's first public school was founded, local newspapers were established, and the first bank opened. The arrival of the railroad in 1871 further boosted growth. The Morrill and Janes Bank received Kansas's first state charter in 1887 here in Hiawatha. Masonry buildings replaced early wood structures, and by the 1880s, Hiawatha boasted a library, opera house, creamery, telephones, electric lighting, and public waterworks. Major E. N. Morrill played a key role in civic development here in Hiawatha. Fires in the 1890s led to widespread rebuilding in brick and stone, and that's why we see so many of these late 1800 buildings here in downtown Hiawatha. The early 1900s brought civic pride and modernization to Hiawatha. One of those buildings constructed in the early 1900s was the Hiawatha Post Office. It was designed under the supervision of James A. Wetmore, who was acting supervisor architect of the U.S. Treasury. The building itself saw an addition in 1960 and a remodel with accessibility improvements in 1982. The building today still serves and operates as a post office nearly 100 years later. Next door to the post office is the Hiawatha Memorial Auditorium. Constructed in 1920 by the city of Hiawatha, the Memorial Auditorium was built to honor local residents who served in World War I. Designed by the architectural firm Thomas W. Williamson and Company, the building was formally dedicated on November 30th, 1921. For more than 5 decades, it served as a public auditorium hosting community events, performances, and civic gatherings. In 1977, it did cease operation as a performance venue, and in 1980, it was acquired by the Brown County Historical Society and transformed into a museum. The museum preserves the region's rich history and honors the community service and sacrifice of those in the community of Hiawatha during the wars. Built in 1909 for the Life and Annuity Association, this two-story structure originally served as office space for an insurance company. After the business was absorbed by the North American Union and relocated to Topeka in the early 1910s, the building saw various uses. In 1919, the property was purchased for use as a Masonic hall, a function it still serves today. Over the years, the building has had a diverse number of uses, including a printing operation, as well as a kindergarten class that met there as well. Congregation of First Christian Church can trace its roots back to a sermon delivered by Brother James McGuire of the Stone Campbell tradition in Hiawatha in 1876. First Christian Church was formally organized in April of 1878 with 27 founding members. That same year, they celebrated their first communion service and laid the foundation for their first church building. That original church building was destroyed by fire in 1878, just 2 months after construction began. But the building that we see today began construction in 1879. That building was replaced in 1923 with the building that is currently the permanent church building of First Christian Church. The library was first established in 1882 thanks to the generosity of Governor Edmund N. Morrill, who offered to fund a free public library and reading room for the Hiawatha community. This led to the founding of the Morrill Free Public Library, one of Kansas's earliest municipal library institutions. By around 1910, it held 13,000 volumes and had grown in 1917 to a little over 15,000, equipping it as a leading educational resource in the region. In the early 1900s, Hiawatha received a $10,000 Carnegie grant to construct a permanent library building. The new building opened here in April of 1907 and formally became the Morrill Public Library. Governor Morrill continued to support the library, serving for many years as president of its board of trustees and helping to secure its long term success. I hope you've enjoyed this Wandering Walks of Wonder tour here in downtown Hiawatha, Kansas. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you on our next Wandering Walks of Wonder adventure. Take care now. Bye bye.